Hey Tony, it's Friday, and first off, to answer your question of the week, that is actually fairly close to Jarek's backstory. So the backstory behind Jarek was actually from my first ever 5e game. So Jarek himself was a half-elf who was basically seen as a second-class citizen in his kingdom because it was elf-dominated, and it was ruled by an elf queen who might or might not be a lich. No one was really sure. But she was a tyrannical queen, so Jarek led an uprising against her, which was shut down, and so he ran away in exile. His family executed, all that fun stuff. And this actually makes sense for Hexenwald, because we're on an extraplanar portal, and you really don't want to go to a dark forest by an extraplanar portal unless you're Hemio, who pushes people through it. Hemio is Justice's chaotic, stupid skeleton.
Hey!
Tell me I'm wrong. Chaotic, stupid skeleton.
Chaotic neutral.
Who was actually based on Hemio from the 5e game that you were in of mine.
It is Hemio from that 5e game.
That's true. It's Hemio after his brain got omnommed by a mind flayer.
Fuck you.
It's a shame. Really a shame.
Fuck you.
What I want to talk about this week is actually something really serious, and that is the protests that have been going on throughout the week. So, obviously, even though I know you don't pay a lot of attention to news, Tony, I'm sure you've heard of the protests based on the death of George Floyd last week, who had a police officer kneel on his neck for, 8 minutes and 45 seconds?
8 minutes, 46 seconds.
8 minutes, 46 seconds, and killed him, and George Floyd's death was ruled homicide by asphyxiation. Currently, the officer who was involved is facing second-degree murder charges. He's been fired from his position, and the 3 other policemen who were with him are also facing criminal charges. I don't remember which ones they are.
All third-degree murder.
All third-degree murder. Thank you, Justice. But this week, what I did was, and I will continue to do tomorrow, is I've actually been to a couple of protests this week. So there was a big march that took place on Wednesday. Yeah, took place on Wednesday. That was a real big event. We had a couple thousand people who ended up showing up, and we had well over 500 who were there at the very start. I went there not only to support the cause, but also to do what I could in case any legal issues came up, to be legal counsel. And in a great showing of democracy at work, there was not a single arrest, there was not a single crime, there was not a single moment of violence throughout the whole thing. It was a peaceful protest from the start to the end. Now, the Springfield police don't have the best history as far as civil rights violations go. So this was a real big thing, with Springfield facing its own crossroads of how they want to be. And I'm actually going to another one tomorrow. The city council president, Justin Hurst, who is a really, really good guy, he is helping co-host the protest tomorrow. And it's going to take place at a location where several young African-American men were beat savagely by police just a few years ago. So it's a real area of history with violent clashes with the police, and I'm gonna go there to support it because Black Lives Matter. There's nothing else we can say besides that, and we need to get to a point where police brutality is no longer the norm. We need to make a better country. We need to make a better group, a better organization, a better everything. Because what we're doing right now is not good enough. And you and I came from a very privileged place. I mean, we were white, raised by 2 educated white people who were able to who were able to allow us to go to good schools, allow us to go to college, allow me to go to law school, allow me to move all the way halfway across the country, and allow me to become the attorney I am today. And we have a privilege that we need to do whatever we can to use our privilege for good, and not just the good for ourselves, but the good for everyone. and I'm looking forward to this protest, to this next protest tomorrow, because protest is one of the most American things you can possibly do. America was founded on protest and revolution. Civil rights happened because of protest and revolution. Vietnam ended because of protest and revolution. And it's up to us in this incredible historic moment to lead the revolution we need to make a more perfect country. So Tony, my question for you is, what was the last protest you went to? Tony, I'll see you on Wednesday. Later.